Let me give you some background first. After writing 11 books in Polish and English languages and committing various essays in the feuilletons on topics loosely related to the occult, ethics, metaphysics, theology, hidden theology, I would like to read another text which was conjured recently. You may find it both on academia.com and in other sources. It belongs to the Occultosophia Corpore, or the Corpore of my works. However, I find it rather interesting if you would like to inspect Arete, the Hellenic concept of Arete, in modern lenses, in order to arrive at a, let's say, metaphysical understanding of reifying metaphysics, just like Immanuel Kant wrote on the metaphysics of ethics. I would like to write on a short treatise on metaphysics of Arete. So, there are three questions which we shall ask first. What is immortal, and what is a metaphysical approach to immortal things? Thirdly, how do we embody these immortal things into the perishable mortal individuals, groups, and humanity in general? Avoiding utopias, delving into realpolitik derived from history of Goethean 3000 years of diverse civilizations. In order to know mortal things, one establishes what is transient and learns from transience. In order to know immortal things, one establishes what is contrary to the transient and likewise derives what is immutable, unimpressionable in all change and motion. This is how to arrive at immortal things, through observation of the transient in motion and change. Observation of the celestial object in their cycles of earth, nature, and mortals establishes the framework for phenomenology, that is, flashes of events distributed in this motion and change. These flashes are co-arising in codependent fashion with organizational differences, various entropies, harmonies and disharmonies, symphonies and cacophonies. Mastering these threads in an insightful fashion is the onset of intuitive wisdom. Obscuring them with petty, biased, myopic particular histories is the onset of ignorance, the tip of the nose prerogative. So the large view and the tip of the nose minima. Therefore, immortal things are long-lived and transient. They are defeated by time. To give some example, a mountain range is transient, long-lived, yet not immortal. Likewise, the forests, the oceans, this scale makes us ponder on the mortal life, which is short-lived, yet to which the long-lived mountain seems like immortal. Therefore, to derive most long-lived things in metaphysics pertaining to humanity is to establish what is of value. What is value? What is virtue? What is arete? What is memory? And what is truth? And how they relate to each other. To find these things, observation of flourishing civilizations is necessary, the foundations of which were long-lasting, epitomizing the movement of civilized humaneness in life. The Chinese model of a hero was that who established laws and reforms for civilizations to thrive. The Western model of a hero is the conqueror. Once they are found and their effects found as meliorative in the course of decades, centuries, their threads found, the golden chain is also discovered. These patterns hint towards the induction of metaphysics of the immortal. It arises as a simple statement of grand history, but there is a conundrum here. Not how to know and recognize them, but how to embody and incarnate them. As if Platonic ontology is waiting for the correct alembic to alchemize and ignite in a given individual. Let us assume that great essences are awaiting to meet people that are willing to step upon the Pythagorean paths, to assist them from childhood until old Saturnian age. Let us call the development and embodiment of the ethos of immortals. What constitutes a society? The people. What constitutes a great society? Great people. Hence, in golden ages, people live by consensus of nobility, and the most excelled in this ethos are its heroes. In the times of iron, people live by consensus of corruption, and the ones most excelling in corruption are its heroes. When these two worlds clash, the golden era individuals in iron times are destroyed. Likewise, golden times remove the iron people of corrupt times from their ranks. People have an innate ability to recognize humaneness, even in the iron times, for it is pertaining to their nature, their innermost ethos, of what it is to be a human mortal. Animals have their code of ethos, their teleology, that is aimfulness, inclination, and their natures. So does a mortal animal. At the intersection of the immortals and the mortal transients, there is a hidden treasury, open to these who discover these ontologies, mysteries, and sacred arts of the metaphysical worlds. A human mortal that out of his own strength becomes civilized and noble is praiseworthy. That whom becomes supported by the immortals to round him, complete him, here he becomes nearly divine. How to bestow these qualities upon mortals? Through teaching, inspiration, elucidation, and impressions. How to teach, inspire, and impress? By transparently embodying one's ethos in a most honest fashion. In the Book of Changes there is a quote, "Be the one breaking the falsehoods, expose them in broad daylight, and people will follow." What is a falsehood? It is something that opposes the logic, arguments, and reason of superior qualities. It is something that needs to operate on surrogates, claiming that an ontological power, say liberty, is conditioned on falsehoods. Liberty is responsible and it is tied with justice. A surrogate will tell you liberty is not being a slave, while everyone is in a state of slavery anyway. Then it is merely an empty word, a buzzword. Likewise, truth, or the inner truth discovered metaphysically, becomes a truth on conditions. Someone says, "I am the truth," and sells you his narrations and viewpoints, and he is a liar. The rest repeats, "He is the truth," and they are deceived. Truth doesn't depend on human doxologies, opinions. It is a pillar of itself. These are some coordinates, for every vision requires them, and a vision is a movement of a deed towards its effectuation. That is, towards its embodiment in the world of phenomena. As you noticed, I avoided naming the qualities and virtues in order to avoid universalism, for individuation of mature, authentic, genuine persons measures the ontologies of the world differently, yet it is as if asking a person, "What is the sun?" A child says, "A bright, yellow, hot thing." An astronomer says, "A star with such and such physical properties." A biologist says, "The basis of all life on Earth." A metaphysician might say, "Corridor of fire, navigator of cosmic waters." Visible Helios, holder of virtues of truth, honesty, justice. A visible aspect of Hyperion as Helios. Apollo surrounded by muses. Chariot of sun gods and sun goddesses. Emperor of the planets in the solar system. Home of winged heliodromoi, the monadic intelligible Ra. It is exactly the metaphysical properties that we focus upon. How to embody solar principles in our intellects, emotions, feelings, souls, hearts, and minds, for the bodies are already formed. We might say that every quality, every attribute that humans named is an a priori epistemological, ontological realism of the stars, planets, natures in all their aspects. It is a measurement of their understanding of these essences. Why is it all relevant, even now? Because every new birth of a child is not precognoscent of the theoretical and practical training. Because every mortal needs to undergo the process in order to arrive at the effects. The volumes of learning are left dusted. The inspiration of muses is appropriated as one's own musings, and barren without the lack of preparation. Yet, this one reference point, that revolutio divina, a shift in perception and committing to it, for a lifetime is enough to motivate into pleasures of wisdom. The torments of separation that need to find a syntony with the immortals in order to carry the old dragon banners, the Hecatian torches into ever newer times. Thank you.